It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. The weekend is here. What's happening, everybody? The Geno Jones Show. Bam! Bow! Hey, it is 4th of July holiday weekend. Let me just click something right here. My guest is going to be joining me shortly. So, my normal start time and day are Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 out in Los Angeles, on the West Coast. So, of course, we are jumping off this 4th of July holiday. 4th of July holiday weekend. 4th of July is actually next Tuesday. Can you believe it? So let's see, it's like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Damn, I thought it was going to be 5 days. I can't complain. No, that's actually 5 days. Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. No, it's only 4 days. I'm trying to stretch out that 5th day. I don't know why, because I'm going to be off anyway. Pretty soon I got my vacation time coming. So there'll be a live show, one live show next week on Wednesday. Of course, no live show Monday and Tuesday because we will be observing the 4th of July holiday. And then I'll be taking my vacation. So I will be returning live on July 18th. I believe that is a Tuesday. However, the Geno Jones Show will be available for you to watch, binge watch any episode. All my great guests. From Ronald Isley, Mr. Big, Ernie Isley, and Mr. Big, Ronald Isley, and Ernie Isley. I had them on back in, I think, November. I've had Lettucey. I had Kenny Lattimore. I had Howard Hewitt. I've had Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I had my man Roy Chip Anthony, Lenny Williams, some new artists, talented new sister, Cruz the Dame, this brother Josh X. It's got really this Afro beats, Caribbean vibe. Amazing. So I got future stars, I got R&B legends and icons and everything in between. So make sure you binge watch all your back episodes. But first, be sure to tell everybody, or as Nelly would say, everybody you know, to subscribe, screen grab, share. They say subscribe, share, like, binge watch. I say subscribe, share, screen grab, like, and binge watch all my back episodes right here on the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Have a great legal mind that's going to be joining me. Listen, you might have missed yesterday's episode. The Supreme Court ended affirmative action in college admissions. So you gotta check out my monologue last night. I just look, I put it all on the table. Okay? And what we need to do, and what this is really all about. Because today the Supreme Court, they were back at it again. They ruled against President Biden's student loan debt forgiveness program. Now, I just got a quick question. Why is it the members of Congress don't have to pay back their loans? You know, they got all of them got like these PPP loans for like $500,000, like $1.2 million. Taxpayer money, they ain't got to pay none of that back. But all of a sudden, it's like, well, you know, if you borrow money, if you take out a loan, you got to pay it back. Tell Marjorie Taylor Greene and tell those members of the House of Representatives. Oh, they part of the MAGA cult, so that's cool. Okay. And also the Supreme Court ruled that this woman that owned she's thinking of, she hadn't, at the time when this suit was filed, she hadn't even opened up this business, but she's going to open up a business where she'll do website designs. But because of her religion, she said that she did not want to design a website for lesbians and gays. So the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can discriminate against lesbians and gays because of your religion. But I got a great legal mind. He's going to talk about that first. But first, it's the weekend. It's the 4th of July weekend. That means the Essence Festival is on and popping. Shout out to New Orleans. New Orleans. It is going down. So we got, I think the headliners are Lauryn Hill, Missy Elliott, who is, Oh, Megan Thee Stallion. They got a great lineup all weekend. I hate that I'm not gonna be down there, but y'all celebrate for me. So shout out to everybody. As a matter of fact, make sure that you tell everybody at the Essence Festival. This is the hottest. Listen, this is must-see TV. It's the hottest show, fastest growing show on YouTube. So tell everybody. If Nelly was there, he would tell you, man, tell everybody to check out the Geno Jones Show. So when y'all trying to get some rest in between all the partying or whatever in the lobby, having breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just turn the show on your TV, put it on your tablet, your smartphone, in your room, whatever you got going on. So shout out to everybody at the Essence Festival. Great, just a great vibe, man. Just a bunch of beautiful black people having a great time and, being positive for the most. There's always going to be some knuckleheads, but I digress. Congratulations to the late Chadwick Boseman. Shout out and Darius Rucker, who is a native of Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm standing right now. Tony Braxton, Dr. Dre, Cheryl Lee Ralph, Kerry Washington, Miss Olivia Pope, Brandy. These are some of the stars that are going to get their own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They are part of the Hollywood Walk of Fame class for 2024. Celebrating birthdays today, Fantasia, who y'all need to give her star, right? Give it to her right now out there on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Fantasia, who's starring in this new version of the Color Purple movie that's coming out on Christmas Day. She did the Broadway play. Fantasia is killing the game. She's 39 today. Tony Rock, Chris Rock's brother, who still wants to whoop Will Smith's ass. Tony Rock is 49. David Alan Greer, one of the funniest dudes, used to be on In Living Color, just a funny brother from Detroit City. David Alan Greer is 67. And Iron Mike, excuse me, can I squeeze your butt? I won't bite you. Shout out to Mike. Mike's my man. One thing I love about Mike said, look, I'm complicated. I got some things going on. I ain't always there, and I might snap and knock your ass out. So happy birthday, Iron Mike Tyson. 57 today. Yesterday, my man DJ Pooh, who was Red in the very first Friday movie. The late Debo was in there. So Red was a little skinny dude, looked like he was like 90, but he was, I don't know, DJ Pooh. DJ Pooh's always looked old. So he was a dude that Debo snatched his chain and took his bite and knocked him out. DJ Pooh also, he co-wrote that very first Friday. I think he wrote the first two along with Ice Cube. DJ Pooh, and he's a record producer also. He turned 54 yesterday, and all you Clipper fans, I ain't mad at you. Somebody got to be second best. Somebody got to be the stepchild. I'm a Lakers fan. Kawhi Leonard, hopefully he's healthy. He ain't hurt. He's 32, turned 32 yesterday. So happy birthday to everybody celebrating a birthday. So you heard me talk about at the top of the show, this Supreme Court is like off the chain. So if you watched my show yesterday, you heard me snapping off. But right now I'm going to bring a young man who's a great legal mind up in Chicago. Congratulations. He just finished law school, and he's going to be doing great things. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, he's not a friend of the show. He's more than family. This is my brother right here. We just came out of a different womb. But ladies and gentlemen, there he is. He's repping the shot too. He got all of his Go Bears, even though they're gonna wind up in the suburbs, that's a whole nother conversation. It's like, come on, y'all. Just really, is that what we doing? Okay, but I get in Atlanta, the Braves are way out. They're trying to get away from the Negroes. I get it. I understand what y'all doing, McCaskey family. I know, because y'all is tight. Y'all tighter than a virgin on a wedding night with that money. I get it. I digress, because I don't want to poison this prestigious legal mind with my foolishness and chicanery, ladies and gentlemen, and he's repping his alumni. Yeah, you go. Them NIU you
Thank you.
Huskies? Mr.
Yes, I'm a
Sean Mitchell.
husky. I'm a husky.
What's happening,
Thank you.
family?
It's going well. We're dealing with a little smoke here from
Oh,
the Canadian
yes.
fires in
Yes.
Chicago. So it's hot today, but it's kind of hazy outside. So hopefully you guys are doing better in South Carolina and across the country than
You
it
know,
is
it's
here.
funny you mentioned that smoke. We actually got a little bit of it today. Nothing like what happened in Chicago, you know.
Right.
So, as a matter of fact,
Right.
Allie was out there one day. She talked about, I guess it was Wednesday when it was really bad. They had the high alert.
Yeah.
She was out
Yeah.
there and she was like, Dad, my chest was bothering me, you know.
Yeah.
It was bothering her a little bit. And it's really scary because my mom has COPD. And, you know,
Okay.
we just had an incident, but she got the proper equipment, so we had to make sure that we, you know, protect her. So let me do this before you get started. I just want to congratulate you, man. I know you recently finished law school.
Well, thank you.
I'm proud of you. You all have seen Sean on the show before when I first got started, and he didn't disappear. That he just had to handle his business, and he did that. And I saw the greatness in this brother. We met nearly 20 years ago. And I saw it then, and I told he'll tell you, I've been his, you know, I know his family is his #1 fan, but I'm right there in line with him. I've been putting that battery pack. That's right. I've been that booster rocket right there. You know, like, dude, you got it. So I'm happy. I'm proud of you, brother.
Well, thank you. Yes, it has been over a 20-year journey. A lot of the listeners and viewers there in Charleston, if you remember back when I came to Charleston as a hip hop DJ, I was on the radio on several stations. And one day, Representative Clyburn and David Mack heard me talking about politics off the mic, and they were like, dude, what are you doing? You know, and I was basically like, yo, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I vote, but, you know, so make a long story short, that kind of started me to re-energize myself. I had started out from high school when I went to Grambling. Plans were to go to law school, but I fell in love with radio and started doing radio and records. Spin it forward. I'm not going to say how long. And you said, young man, thank you so much, Brother Jones, but I am no longer a young man. As you can see, it's starting to come in there pretty good now. Now, I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start.
I'll tell you what,
with,
let me do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, start with yesterday's ruling, ending affirmative action in college admissions. Then, of course, we had the student loan debt forgiveness plan that President Biden had that they rejected. Then you also had the case in Colorado, the woman who was thinking about, you know, opening up a web design business and said, well, if I do, I don't want to, if I do, now I hadn't opened, which look, I didn't go to law school, but you can't help me out. Isn't there a certain thing called standing, like, you
standing.
What damage has been done because you don't have a business?
Yeah, the court. This is why everybody was kind of looking sideways in regards to the Colorado case. The court does not deal in hypotheticals. That's for law students, law professors, and prepping for the bar. The court, you have to, when you bring a case to the court, you have to have damages or you're facing some kind, you're looking for relief. Federal courts, I'm studying this for the bar. In order to plead at a federal court, you have to have a plain meaning pleading. The individual that brought that case, that didn't even have a business, brought this hypothetical of, if I open my business, would I have to service the LGBT community for a website, which is, you know, think about it now. Not too many people are hiring anybody to do websites. Why? Because you can do it yourself. You can go to Facebook. You can do a whole lot of things. And I have news for that young lady, or whoever she is. Corporations that hire people to do websites will not hire you because they don't want to be affiliated with anyone that is a bigot, a racist, or any of the things that are divisive. And the Supreme Court heard this couched under religious freedom. And that can be troubling because if we do a logical exercise, a person could come and say to the court, I'm planning on opening up, under similar example, a company that designs websites. And my religious belief, the crazy Cucamonga MAGA cult, doesn't want to serve Black people and brown people.
Or Jews.
Well,
yeah.
the court, you know, it's interesting with the court because usually what the court tries to do is tries to avoid things like that case because there's no, like I said, there was no relief, no damages, nothing. It's a hypothetical. They usually walk away. But for some reason, the Roberts court is totally different. Now, we were talking about the affirmative action situation. So there is some misconceptions about this case. So let me start there. All right. There's only a handful of colleges and universities that this will affect. And I know everybody's saying, well, what are you talking about? They were saying that this changes affirmative action admissions and universities. Well, most universities don't have race as a criteria. These universities, like Harvard and the UNC situation, is kind of different because of one, Harvard in particular, the hundreds of thousands of applications they get. And most of the time when people apply to Harvard, everybody has a 4.0. If you ever go to a graduate level school or you go on, anybody listening that has went on to be doctors, lawyers, most of the time you're sitting in a class and you might have graduated from high school with straight A's and went to college and had straight A's, and you're sitting right next to somebody else that has done the same thing. So the competition to get into these programs are quite hard. But most, in fact, 99.9% of the universities and colleges in this country, race is not a criteria in the admissions process. Now, what they do in these universities is they look at a student from a holistic standpoint. In other words, if you were, say you have student A, who is a straight A student, and they weren't in any organizations, any extracurricular activities. They just maxed out on their books and great. I'm all for that. Then you have student B who has, 3.5, but they are, they play lacrosse. They're on the chess team. They're in Young Democrats of America. They go on to college. They have to work while they're in college. Their socioeconomic situation, parents, maybe a mom who's a single mom, or maybe they lost a parent in the Iraq War. Okay. Those applications get a little bit more weight than someone that's just simply an academic achiever. Why? Because in theory, that academic achiever can go pretty much anywhere they want to. And again, this hypothetical isn't really how they do admissions. This is just being able to give people an insight as to how the admission process works. The other issue is that you can't weigh all the school systems in the United States against one another. Perfect example. I was educated in the suburbs of Chicago in the 80s and 90s. If you compare my educational experience to someone who's also Black and my same age, and they went to a school, a city school at the same time, their education can't compare to mine. So
unless they went to a school, let's say Whitney Young. Or Limboom or Lane.
Yeah, they went to one of the magnet schools, or they went to some school. They went to a private school like St. Ignatius or something like that. you can't really compare necessarily their expense. That's not dissing those students. That's not dissing those schools. That is simply saying that, pointing out that our academic education in the United States is not equal across the board as far as resources, the teachers, access to money, funding, computers. I can remember in the 80s, mid 80s, my high school, Proviso East, had a computer and typing lab. And I had friends that went to school in the cities, they didn't have that. And so that's what we're talking about. You can't compare 99% of the schools in Illinois, no matter what you hear, to 99% of the schools in South Carolina. One, the curriculums are different. In Illinois, there's a certain requirement of certain things that you have to learn that are not required in South Carolina.
And they're not banning books. And they're not banning books in Illinois.
No, they're not banning books. There is a process here when it comes to that, and that's a whole nother show about books. But yeah, they don't ban books here. And even when we have MAGA people or crazy people or whatever that show up to our PTA stuff, they're usually dealt with or ignored. And our state functions as the laws should. But back to the Supreme Court with the affirmative action. So this is basically looking at schools like Harvard, and there's a few others that aren't not in the suit, but they do their admissions. What Harvard was basically doing was attempting to level the playing field. And so they were assigning points to everyone's application, similar off what I said earlier about a person having extracurriculars and different things. And they also assign points to race. Now, on the surface, it's never a good idea to do it that way. But what I found interesting is we now live in a zeitgeist to where some of the civil rights laws that were passed to protect African Americans and other minorities are being turned on their head by some of those same quote unquote ally minorities and flipping it into a racial issue. I'm going to be clear. I'm not saying this to sound offensive, but it's the truth. Since affirmative action has been incorporated, the largest beneficiary of affirmative action, are you ready to hear this?
I told them yesterday, they won't believe me. They might, but they'll believe you because you are a legal expert. Tell them.
White women.
What did I tell y'all last night? What did I tell you? Okay.
So, who's going to be screaming at the top of their lungs in about 10, 12 years?
Attorney, I want you to verify this point. I'll just tell them, there's data. So we're not just pulling this out our ass. There's data and science and receipts to back this up.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that I'm sitting here as a law graduate sitting for the bar. I can't lie to you. I wouldn't just I wouldn't just make that up. That's actually documented. You can do research, get on your Google machine, and you can go right to it. So the other dynamic of it, while I can understand the Asian students that brought the case and how they may feel, I tend to believe that it wasn't the smartest move by quote unquote ally group. But here's what I'm going to say. Justice Sotomayor made a great point during her dissent that she read from the bench. Now, I know a lot of your listeners are not like Supreme Court geeks or anything, but usually when these rulings come out, they're printed out. When they release it, they circulate it. It's rarely anybody from the court says anything. But in this case, from the bench, Justice Sotomayor, who was very upset, the first Latina on the Supreme Court. She's a big Yankees fan, but I'm not going to hold that against her.
Me either.
She basically said that although the court did this it will not stop students from when they apply to use their racial experience as a holistic part of their application. Now, I want to point to a few things, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm not a big fan of Texas legislator or the structure of their current government. But Texas seemed to find a way when they were faced with similar issues about attempting to increase African American and Hispanic enrollment in University of Texas and in the Texas University system. What they did, and I think this is a great idea, this kind of eliminates race from a lot of things. In the state schools, it could be simple. Illinois already does this for kids that graduate from high school with straight A's or with a high grade point average of 4.0. You get to go to some of the state schools tuition free, no problem. You're automatically admitted. Here in the state of Illinois, they have programs. These are other programs that don't have, they're race neutral. Race has nothing to do with it. But if you graduate from high school in the state of Illinois with a 3.0 or better, you get to go to a junior college for free. But wait, it doesn't stop there. You also, if you complete junior college at 3.0 or better, you'll get to go to several state schools that participate in the program for free.
Wow.
The law school that I went to, NIU, College of Law in DeKalb, Illinois, about 65 miles from Chicago, is one of the most diverse campuses in the country. But as far as law school, very diverse law school. The population of lawyers is 12 point of African Americans, something like just short of 13%. Yet we only make up 5% of the actual lawyers in the country.
Okay.
And my school, out of 90 students, we had 11 African Americans graduate with my class. So you do the math, that's right at the population level. And that's what you like to see in schools across the country. We can make advances if you look across the population level and you see that you have 10, 12, 15% African American students making up the students at universities. With the Hispanic and Latino group, we're looking at similar numbers, 15 to 17%. If you reach those numbers in a school, then you'll see that this is not really an issue. So how did Texas do it? They gave every student that graduated in the top 10% of their class, they automatically, once they apply, get into the University of Texas, as long as they don't fail to meet any of the behavioral or other issues that could eliminate you from being there. And to be honest, this is one of the few things I'll give Texas credit for it. That's a great idea.
Now, let's keep in mind, full disclosure, Sean, when that plan and those laws were implemented, the current administration was not in place.
Yes.
Greg Abbott was not.
No, he was not in place. But Greg Abbott didn't take it out because I'm sure he knows that he would not only hear from African Americans and Hispanics, but those same white folks in Texas would be very upset. So that's one way of looking at solving it. So here's what I don't want anybody to take away from what I'm saying. We should continue our fight for civil rights, equal access, and equal opportunity, no question. The ruling striking down affirmative action did not do any damage. That doesn't mean they're going to turn around and take away, equal opportunity in jobs or DEI or bias training and work.
You don't think so? Okay.
No. That's a hard logical leap.
So yeah, because let me push back. Because I feel that this move was the canary in the coal mine. So why are you so confident in that opinion from a legal standpoint that corporations all of a sudden won't be like, Well,
Well,
if that theory works in higher education, why won't it work in corporate America or in giving federal or state contracts for blacks and people of color and women?
well, there's three things
Okay.
with that theory. So let's start with the corporate America. Just the fact that corporate America functions as a private entity, the bottom line is about their money, and most corporate America business owners, CEOs, shareholders do not want anything that will interfere with their bottom line. So that's just not good business in a general sense. We're not talking about Hillbilly Bob with his corner market that's not going to hire any black people. That's insignificant. We're simply talking about how most corporations operate. And also, this was a very narrow opinion. In other words, we're looking at the fact that it's Harvard and UNC, and we're like, oh my God, this affects everybody. Well, like I said before, most schools don't even use this as a factor. Okay. And Harvard and UNC were following a past ruling by trying to make adjustments to their enrollment from a 1978, and forgive me because I'm overloaded with bar stuff, but from a 1978 Supreme Court ruling and how affirmative action is laid out. So that was a very unique situation, because if you think about it, in any other situation in the country, you can't choose a person because of race. So that the affirmative action part for the admission was already an exception, okay? And when exceptions are placed to a hardcore rule, that means that if it's written into law, everything has to apply to that exception. Well, that was a judicial exception and trying to make things equal. And back in 2003, Justice O'Connor had already said that around 2028, we really need affirmative action in higher education, and pretty much they had already said no. Now I disagree with that part. I find, was she what is she, a wizard, a sorceress? How do you know? You don't know. So I don't know how much weight to give that, but when you're studying this stuff and you're reading about it, you have to take in effect and how much history plays in it. And speaking of history, this court seems to have a trouble with juggling history. Yes. The last point on the affirmative action that I saw, and this is like a subtopic, and I know you probably have a lot of listeners in Savannah and viewers in Savannah. Their buddy Justice Thomas decided to use the ruling as an opportunity to attack Justice Jackson. And I think we can look forward to more back and forth between those two, because Justice Thomas tends to have that idea that he's chastising the young black lady. And I just see his credibility as being troubling, especially with the ethical issues that he has going on. And that's a whole nother show. And he's not the only one dealing with ethical issues. And not to exclude his wife, that probably if she was anybody else would be under the jail for participating in a coup attempt in the United States. But those, again, are whole other subjects. What I think your listeners should be vigilant about is voting. Because at the end of the day, when we go back and we look at the critical election that probably set us down this path was the 2000 election when George Bush Jr. was elected. That's that right there. Because I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to got us to this situation.
But 2016, let me just say, I got to say this. 2016 turbo boosted it. Because all the folks that, Hillary, but what about her emails and all of that? Yeah. And that was the point to where we knew, because you had Ruth Bader Ginsburg that had survived cancer like 5 or 6 times. So we knew that many people knew that whoever got elected in 2016 would probably put up for a nomination through the United States Senate, possibly 3 judges, and what happened? 3 judges.
You brought up the late Justice Ginsburg, and she was awesome justice. Personally, I wish she had stepped down during President Obama's term.
Yes.
That, and I'm talking about at the beginning, towards the end of his first term. I just think that was not a good idea for her. That cost us a seat, and then he got cheated out of a seat.
Yeah.
So let's look at this. 6 of those 7, 6 of the Supreme Court justices that are now on the bench, 5 of them were elected by placed there by Republican presidents that did not have the majority of votes when they got elected.
That part, yes.
So the court doesn't necessarily represent where the majority of Americans are. So what can you do about it? Well, you start local and you build out. And the reason why you start local is you need to make sure you're sending people to Washington from Congress and Senate that are going to support the type of court that you want to see.
Yes.
Because the senators' main power is putting federal judges on the bench.
Yes.
And right now,
thank you.
President Biden is about to eclipse, if they don't keep stalling out stuff in the Senate, of what Trump put into the federal bench in one term.
Yes.
And so that's good for 10 years down the road. But what do we do now? Well, what you do now is you should be writing your senators if you're upset. You should be writing your congressmen. You should be joining groups like Demand Action, ACS, Lawyers for Civil Rights, and all these various organizations. Personally, if I was President Biden, I'd increase the court to 13 or something. I would take Roberts' power. I think Roberts' court is doing exactly what Roberts has always wanted the court to do. And so it's not by accident that this year in particular, we saw a whole bunch of cases come up from the Supreme Court that have done significant damage to precedent and laws that we have in place. And the final thing I'm going to say is I think it's important that your listeners get a firmer understanding of the various amendments. You know, we throw around the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, but some of these laws that we're dealing with now are being turned on the 14th Amendment that has everything to do with Black folks and their freedom post-Civil War. And I think that after my experience with law school, let me say this, becoming a lawyer and going to law school, yes, it's hard work. And I wouldn't expect anybody, you have to be crazy to want to do this. And I'm obviously crazy. But that does not discharge a regular citizen from being able to read and understand our laws. It's just that simple. And I think it's important that even if you're not a lawyer, you should be able to recognize when these courts are doing things that are going to have deep, permanent effects on your family and your life moving forward. There are a lot more things that are going to come up to the court that are way bigger than affirmative action. For me, after experiencing the Canadian forest fire change and the impact that it's really starting to have. And so I'd say I may not have touched on all the cases, but one of the biggest things that I think is the most important anybody can do here is make sure you're voting, make sure you're actively participating in the political process, and make sure you listen to Geno Jones, because this show has been a vision of his since I was down there doing my radio, and I was doing a radio show similar to this. And so I'm just glad the brother is able to use his talents and his gifts, not only as an outstanding on-air personality, but just as a spokesman, speaking up, similar in the light as some of the brothers we see around the country that are able to do some of the same things. So, Geno, you keep it up. I'm always available when I'm not for the bar or it's not a conflict to provide some illegal analysis. Next time, I'll probably be in a suit.
Well, listen, man, you're at home, brother. So you look fine, and I appreciate you, man. I love you. I'm proud of you. Thank you for those kind words. You are a part of the Geno Jones family, and I knew we would time it out, losing his. I was going to lose his live shot. So, thank you to Sean Mitchell. You'll see him again. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life, by the way. As always, God bless each and every one of you and you and you. And thanks for bringing me back on camera, and you, and especially you. So I come to you live. Now, my normal start time and days are Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. 4th of July weekend is here. The next live show is going to be on Wednesday. We'll have one live show next Wednesday, and then we'll be on vacation till July 8th. But the Geno Jones Show is always available right here on the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel, 24/7. You can watch any show at any time. All my back episodes, all my great guests. Check it out. I want everybody to have a great 4th of July holiday. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless. God bless each and every one of you and you and you and especially you, and God most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show, CEO of Designer Cuts. Check him out on IG, Instagram, Kel B Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones, the drip director, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show, along with Bruce Gage. Allie Jones, fashion designer with the LX.NCL collection. She got a collection special crochet line, swimsuits, tops, leggings, handbags, amazing, beanies, and a lot more. Check her out and her collection and her